Coming up on the Dime, the Nugs had better look out below. The Utah Jazz continues to make noise. Kobe Bryant hasn't been running much of late, but could he be walking in Memphis as early as Tuesday?
The stress or the pressure of travel and then playing in back-to-backs, that's always a huge test.
Andrew Bogut takes advantage of the Garden Showcase, and the Bobcats road trip treks onward to L.A. The Daily Dime drops now.
Try to keep him down a little bit in this game now, especially with Blake available. Oh, what a jam! DeAndre Jordan throwing it down.
And Ralph, when you consider who he just dunked on, Theo Ratliff.
And once again, welcome into the Daily Dime. I'm John Anik. Later, we've got word on Kobe Bryant's return, which actually may come sooner than you think. But we begin in Salt Lake City, where the Jazz sounds pretty good these days. Utah just wrapped up a perfect 4-0 road trip, and the capstone, how about a comeback from 25 points down in the second half to beat the Blazers in overtime. So winners of 17 of its last 19, the Jazz was back home Monday against the Atlanta Hawks, who hadn't won in Salt Lake City since 1993. Well, making matters easier for the Hawks, Jerry Sloan's Jazz without Darren Williams and Andre Karolinko, the bench would be forced to step up, and early on, well, they did. Kirill Fasinko cleaning up his own mess here, the putback and the foul. Utah led it by 10. Later on, Sundiata Gaines in transition. His floater won't go, but not to worry. Paul Millsap there to clean up the mess. The Jazz bench outscored their starters 31-20 in that first half. Third quarter now, we're tied at 64, and finally the starters are heard from. Carlos Boozer hits the fadeaway. He was one of 7 Jazz in double figures. Then later in the third, Boozer fakes the pass and right into your living room. 73-71 Utah. Fourth quarter, though, a different story. Josh Smith on the alley-oop. The nice feed there from Mike Bibby. Smith had 18, and then under a minute to go with the Hawks up 2. How's this for a killer instinct? Joe Johnson, degree of difficulty high. He had a game-high 28. The Hawks get that elusive win in Salt Lake City, 105-100.
Offensively, it seemed as though the second unit stepped up in the third and fourth quarter. What did you guys talk about in the locker room?
We didn't like how we played in the first quarter. We kind of gave a lead away, and we have pride. We had to come back and do what we had to do to get the win.
As we go inside the numbers, it had been over 17 years since the Hawks last won in Utah. That win coming February 13th, 1993. Where were you the night that Dominique Wilkins led the Hawks with 43? Michael Jordan was the reigning league MVP, and oh look, Jerry Sloan was still the Jazz head coach. Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavericks home for the Indiana Pacers. Second quarter, it's Dallas by 5 and doing it with defense. Jason Terry gets in the passing lane, and the fast break ends with an easy Dirk deuce there. He had 23. Dallas led it by 7. Less than a minute to go in the half. Terry the miss, but Brendan Haywood is there to clean it up. That's all he did on the night. 20 rebounds to go with 13 points. Third quarter now, a 13-point Dallas lead. Haywood the block, and Mavs are going the other way. Sean Marion dropping it down for Jason Kidd. He is water from downtown. How about the new look Mavs getting it done? Fourth quarter now, all Dallas off the Indiana miss. Deshaun Stevenson looking up to a cherry-picking Nowitzki, but why not? Dallas rolls it home, 91-82. The New York Knicks honoring the 69-70 World Championship team at halftime of their game with the Bucks. There you see Bill Bradley, and more star power coming out of the tunnel in the form of Walt Frazier, and last but not least, you guessed it, Willis Reed. The team posing there at center court. And then how about Spike Lee pointing to Tracy McGrady? It's the 1970 Knicks warming up. What's going on here? Well, we go to the opening tip. It ends up with Walt Frazier, and up ahead to McGrady for 2. 1970 Knicks bench is loving it later. Sergio Rodriguez the miss, but that's Willis Reed eating glass. Wouldn't that be nice to see in 2010? Second half we go now, and we throw back Milwaukee style. Andrew Bogut channeling his inner Lou Alcindor. Alcindor on the baseline, and the turnaround jumper there goes for Bogut in the lane. He had 24 on 12 of 15 shooting, and later Bogut doing it defensively. The big block there on McGrady, and then the follow there. Bogut had 20 boards as well, blocked 5 shots, and the Bucks stopped the Knicks at the Garden 83-67.
What afforded you the opportunity to have a career game? Oh, obviously they play small. You know, David Lee's a hell of a player to play at the center position. He's very, very quick and can shoot the ball. So he kind of had a mismatch down one end, and I had a mismatch on the other end. I got some offensive rebounds early, and my teammates were looking for me.